everybody, welcome back to my True Crime channel. My name is my True Crime channel. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell button to not miss new True Crime video. My name is my True Crime channel. Hi, welcome and learning from the True Crime channel. Then welcome back. But y'all, I am back and I'm back with a True Crime video. I know every time these videos I be uploading and it's only disappearing. Ain't no other time a month because I'm busy with work, busy with channel from my other main channel, YouTube, and just applying for jobs, and it is a lot trying to balance out between work. But I haven't been like consistent on this channel until today. Today's Thursday night. It is 10:30 at night, August the 11th, and I'll be uploading this video tomorrow on the 12th on Friday. So from now on, I'm gonna start filming like true crime on this channel on Thursday nights, so I can edit afterwards and upload the video on Friday mornings. I was going to do the same videos on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Tuesdays. As well, that's too much. I make some videos on my main channel on Mondays and vlogging stuff and working for 2 days in the week. It's a lot, so I feel like I'm going to start filming videos at night, uploading videos on Fridays on this channel, and send it to my main channel or whatever, stuff like that. So you saw today's video. I'll be doing in the case of Aileen was the first female serial killer. This is my first female serial killer I've done so far. Out of all serial killer cases on this channel far was also male. So this is actually my first female serial killer case ever. It's going to like do like a little series on notorious serial killer cases. And I was like, what? I already done like serial killer videos on my channel. Why would I make a series about being like a serial killer? I should have my main. I should have already done that already. Alright, in my playlist. You guys see my playlist on these soft cases, on soft cases. Watch those playlists, stuff like that. And then get this video started. Aileen Wuornos was born in Detroit suburb of Rochester, Michigan, in February 9, 1956. Her mother, Diane Wuornos, was born in 1939. Was 14 years old when she married Aileen's father, 18-year-old Leo Dale Pittman, on June 3, 1954. On March 14, 1955, Diane gave birth to Aileen's older brother named Keith. After less than 2 years of marriage, 2 months before Aileen was born, Diane filed for divorce. She gave birth to Aileen at the age of 16. Rose never met her father as he was incarcerated at the time of her birth. Dale Pittman was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He was later convicted for raping a 7-year-old girl, and he committed suicide by hanging himself in prison on June 3, 1969. That's disgusting. Why is raping a 7-year-old girl and want to commit suicide? Like, I just don't understand why people commit crimes. They want to commit suicide because they don't want to face jail time and want to face prison. If you don't want to face prison, then you shouldn't be committing the freaking crime, you idiot. In January 1960, when Wuornos was almost 4 years old, Diane abandoned her children, leaving them with their maternal grandparents. Lori and Brita were both alcoholics, who legally adopted Keith and Aileen on March 18, 1960. At the age of 11, Wuornos began engaging in sexual activities in school in exchange for cigarettes, drugs, and food. That's too young. At 11 for sexual activities at 11, like, what you know about do all that at age of 11? Like, that is too young. She had also engaged in sexual activities with her brother. Her blood actual brother. Not her player brother, not the step brother, not none of that. But her actual blood brother. Doing sexual things. I just don't understand that. Like, why? It just sounds weird. Like, why are you doing sexual with your brothers? Like, I don't get it. It just that kind of threw me off while reading this and looking online and actually hear about this while I was watching a documentary. It is weird. Wuornos said that her alcoholic grandfather had sexually assaulted and beaten her when she was a child. Before beating her, he would force her to strip out of her clothes. That's awful. In 1970, at the age of 14, she became pregnant and having been raped by a friend of her grandfather. Wuornos gave birth to a boy at home for unwed mothers on March 23, 1971, and the child was placed for adoption. A few months later, her son was born. She dropped out of school, and about the same time that her grandmother died of liver failure, when Wuornos was 15, and her grandfather threw her out of the house, and she began supporting herself through prostitution and living in the woods near her old home. Now that is real heartbreaking because no girl deserve to live like that, especially age of 15. No girl or any woman should not have to be thrown in the house for some prostituting, all that's just for to struggle. And she already had a child she adopted. Like, that's sad. On May 27, 1974, at age of 18, Wuornos was arrested in Jefferson County, Colorado for driving under the influence, DUI, disorderly conduct, and firing a 22 caliber pistol for moving the vehicle. She was later charged with failure to appear. In 1976, Wuornos hitchhiked to Florida where she met 69-year-old yacht club president named Louis Gratzfeld. They married quickly, and the announcement of the nuptials was printed in the local newspapers, society pages. However, Wuornos continually involved herself in confrontations at the local bar and went to jail for assault. She also hit Fell with her own cane, leading him to gain a restraining order against her within weeks of the marriage. She returned to Michigan where on July 14, 1976, she was arrested at Bernie's Club in Minnesota and Tryon County and charged with assault and distributing the piece for throwing a cue ball at a bartender's head. By 13, her brother Keith died of esophageal cancer, and Wuornos received $10,000 from his life insurance. Wuornos fell annulled their marriage on July 21st after only 9 weeks. August 1976, Wuornos was given a $105 fine for drunk driving. She used the money inherited from her brother to pay the fine and spent the rest within 2 months buying luxuries including a new car, but she wrecked shortly afterwards. In 1978, at the age of 22, she attempted suicide by shooting herself in the stomach. Between the ages of 14 and 22, she attempted six times. So this lady is going through a whole lot of her young years. Her grandmother died. Her brother died. She got kicked out the house. She married an old ass man. No offense, she married an old ass man. Got divorced within weeks after getting married, and now she got arrested, and now she trying to commit suicide 6 times. That's sad. On May 20, 1981, Wuornos was arrested in Edgewater, Florida for the armed robbery of a convenience store when she stole $35 and 2 packs of cigarettes. She was sentenced to prison on May 4, 1982 and released on June 3, 1983. In May 1, 1984, Wuornos was arrested for attempting to pass forged checks at a bank in Key West. On November 30, 1985, she was named as a suspect in the thief of a revolver and ammunition in Pasco County. On June 4, 1986, Wuornos was arrested in Miami and charged with car theft, resisting arrest, and obstruction of justice of providing identification bearing her aunt's name. Miami police officers found a 38 caliber revolver and box of ammunition in a stolen car. On June 2, 1986, Volusia County Deputy Sheriff detained Wuornos for questioning after a male companion accused her of pulling a gun in his car demanding $200. Wuornos was found to be carrying three spare ammunition, and police discovered a 22 pistol under the passenger seat she had occupied. In 1986, 30-year-old Wuornos met 24-year-old Tyria Moore, a hotel maid at the Daytona Beach gay bar club called Zodiac. They moved in together, and Wuornos spotted them running errands as a prostitute. On July 4, 1987, Daytona Beach police detained Wuornos and Moore at a bar for questioning regarding an incident in which they were accused of assault and battery with a beer bottle. On March 12, 1988, Wuornos accused a Daytona Beach bus driver of assault. She claimed that he pushed her off the bus following a confrontation. Moore was listed as a witness to the incident. Later at her trial, Wuornos stated, It was love beyond imaginable. Earthly words cannot describe because how I felt about Taria. Because her execution, Wuornos came to still be in love with more. Wuornos murdered 7 men with a period of 12 months. All of Wuornos' victims were older men between the ages of 40 to 65 years of age. On July 4, 1990, Wuornos and more abandoned victims Peterson's car after they were involved in the accident. Wanda Bailey, who witnessed the accident, provided police with a description of 2 women, resulting in a media campaign to locate them. Police also found some of the victims' belongings in pawn shops. Wuornos' fingerprint that was found on the seat of one of the pawn shops matched at the print that was left in Steven's car. Wuornos had a criminal record in Florida and samples of prints were in the database. On January 9, 1991, Wuornos was arrested on an outstanding warrant at the Last Resort Biker Bar in Rosedale County. The police located Moore the next day in Scranton, Pennsylvania. She agreed to allocate a confession from Wuornos in exchange for immunity from prosecution. Moore returned with the police to Florida in which she was put up in a motel. Under police guidance, she made numerous telephone calls to Wuornos, pleading for help in clearing her name. 3 days later, on January 16, 1991, Wuornos confessed to the murders. She claimed the man had tried to rape her, and she killed him in self-defense. In November 1991, Wuornos was legally adopted by a 44-year-old Aileen who saw her photo in a newspaper. On June 14, 1992, Wuornos went to trial for the murder of Richard Charles Mallory. Although previous convictions are normally inadmissible in criminal trials, under Florida's Williams rule, the prosecution was allowed to introduce evidence related to her other crimes to show a pattern of legal activity. On June 27, 1992, Wuornos was convicted of Mallory's murder with help from Moore's testimony. After the sentencing, psychiatrists for defense testified that Wuornos was mentally unstable and diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. 4 days later, she was sentenced to death. Wuornos' defense made efforts during the trial to introduce evidence that Mallory was previously convicted for attempted rape in Maryland and served a sentence in the maximum security correctional facility providing remediation to sexual offenders. Records obtained from the correctional institution show that from 1958 to 1962, Mallory was committed to first treatment and observation resulting from criminal charge of assault with intent to rape and received overnight 8 years of treatment from the facility. In 1961, it was observed of Mr. Mallory that he possessed strong sociopathic trends. However, the judge refused to allow the records of the minute in court as evidence and denied Wuornos' request for a retrial. On March 31, 1992, Wuornos pleaded no contest in the murders of Charles Richard Humphreys, Troy Eugene Burroughs, and David Andrew Spears, saying she wanted to get with God. In her statement to the court, she said in part, "I wanted to confess to you that Richard Mallory did violently rape me, as I told you, but these others did not." The only began to start too. On May 15, 1992, Wuornos was given 3-month death sentences. In June 1992, Wuornos pleaded guilty to the murder of Charles Edmund Carscadden. In 1992, she received her 5th death sentence. In February 1993, Wuornos pleaded guilty to the murder of Walter Gino Antonio and was sentenced to death again. No charges were brought against her for the murder of Peter Abrahamson, as his body was never found. In all, Wuornos received 6 death sentences. Wuornos told several inconsistent stories about the killings. She claimed initially that all 7 men had raped her while she was working as a prostitute, but later resented to claim of self-defense, citing robbery and decided to leave with no witnesses as a reason for the murder. During an interview with filmmaker Nick Winfield, when Wuornos thought the camera was off, she told him that it was in fact self-defense, but she could not stand being on death row, where she had been for 10 years at this point and wanted to die. Using the psychopathy checklist, Wuornos scored 32 out of 40, with this cutoff score of 30 for determining psychopathy. The checklist evaluates individuals on a 20-item list of Wuornos was incarcerated at the Florida Department of Corrections Rural Correctional Institution in death row for 4 women, then transferred to Florida State Prison for execution. Her appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court was denied in 1996. In a 2001 petition to the Florida Supreme Court, she said her intention to dismiss the legal counsel and determine all the pending appeals. She said, I quote, I killed those men, end quote, she wrote, robbed them as cold as ice, and I'll do it again too. There's no chance in keeping me alive or anything because I killed again. I have hate crime in my system. I am so sick and hearing she's crazy stuff. I've been invalidated so many times. I'm competent, sane, and I'm trying to tell the truth. I'm one who seriously hates human life and will kill again. That's what she said. While her attorneys argued that she was not mentally competent to make such a request, Wuornos insisted that she knew what she was doing, and in court-appointed human psychiatrist agreed. In 2002, Wuornos began accusing prison matrons of tainting her food with dirt, saliva, and urine. She said she had overheard conversation among prison personnel trying to get me to push or to burn by them. I wound up committing suicide before the execution and wishing to rape me before execution. She also complained of strip searches, tight handcuffing, indoor kicking, frequent window checks, low water pressure, mildew on her mattress, that's disgusting, and cat calling and distance of pure hatred towards me. Wuornos threatened to boycott showers and food trays when senior officers were on duty. In the meantime, my stomach's growling away and I'm taking showers through the sink of my cell. Her attorney said that Ms. Wuornos really just wants to have proper treatment, humane treatment, and for the day she's executed, he added. She believes what she's written. In the week before her execution, Wuornos gave a series of interviews to Broomfield and talked about being taken away to meet God and Jesus and angels and whatever is beyond the beyond. In her final interview, she once again charged that her mind was tortured at BCI and her head crushed by sonic pressure. Food poisonings and other abuses worsened. She said each time she complained with the goal of making her appear insane or to drive her insane. She also turned on her interviewer, you sabotaged me and sabotage. She said, you sabotaged my ass. Society and the cops and system. A raped woman got executed and was used for books, movies, and shit. Her final on-camera words were, thanks a lot, society, for rewarding my ass. End quote. And I also got a video of her last interview, which I'm going to insert right here.
Did you know that they were surveilling me before I killed? And then I knew it? And that it was covered up? Did you know there was helicopters dropping down from the sky, deputy sheriff, with decoys picking me up 4 or 5 months before my arrest? It was covered up.
But nonetheless,
Nobody ever asked me these questions.
Whether the cops were following you or not, Aileen.
Oh, whether the cops were following me or not, Aileen,
okay,
what?
Let's say the cops were following you.
Yeah.
Let's say they were following you and they did everything that you're saying they did. Nonetheless, you killed 7 men.
Yes, you did.
And I'm asking you, what got you to kill the 7 men?
And I'm telling you, because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you get it?
Not everybody is killing 7 people. So there must have been something in you that was getting you to do that.
Oh, you are lost, Nick.
So
I was a hitchhiking hooker.
Right.
Running into trouble. I'd shoot the guy if I ran into trouble, physical trouble. The cops knew it. When the physical trouble came along, let her clean the streets. And then we'll pull her in.
But
That's
how come
why.
there was so much physical trouble? Because it was all in 1 year. 7 people in 1 year.
Oh, well. Oh, well. I'm out of retaliation for taking my life like this and getting rich off it all these years in total pathological lying. Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my fucking life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial. Couldn't even get a fair investigation or nothing. Couldn't even have my appeals right. You sabotaged my ass, society, and the cops, and the system. A raped woman got executed. It was used for books and movies and shit. Bladder climbs, the re-election, everything else. I got a big finger in all your faces. Thanks a lot. You're an inhumane bunch of fucking living bastards and bitches, and you're gonna get your asses nuked in the end. And pretty soon it's coming. 2019, Iraq's supposed to hit you anyhow. You're all gonna get nuked. You don't take fucking human life like this and just sabotage and rip it apart like Jesus on the cross and say thanks a lot for all the fucking money I made off of you.
On October 9, 2002, that was a couple of days after my first birthday. She declined her last meal, which could have been under $20, and opted for a cup of coffee instead. Her last words were, "Yes, I would just like to say I'm sailing with the rock and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus." And June 6th, like the movie, big money shipping on I'll be back, I'll be back. She died at 9:47 a.m. She was the second woman imported and 10th in the United States to be executed since the 1976 United States Supreme Court decision restoring capital punishment. After her death, Wuornos' body was cremated. Wuornos' ashes were scattered beneath a tree in native Michigan by Wuornos' childhood friend, Don Hawkins. At Wuornos' request, native mentioned song Carnival Running album, Tiger Lee was played at her funeral. Wuornos spent many hours listening to this album on death row. When Mitchell found out about this, she gave permission to use the song in closing credits in Nick Smith's documentary, Aileen, Life and Death of the Serial Killer. According to some specialists, Wuornos' crimes have been related to a psychopathic personality and a psychotraumatic past. Using the psychopathic checklist, Wuornos was found to have psychopathic personality with a PCLR score of 32, with a cutoff score for psychopathy being 30 in the United States. Wuornos was also known to meet the relevant criteria for determining both borderline personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. Much of Wuornos' childhood sexual abuse and career in sex work are said to have irrevocably damaged her, and could be seen that traumatic experiences throughout most of her young life could play part in Wuornos' psychological state, including her biological mother's departure as well as her grandmother and learned abuse she endured from her grandfather, those leading to lack of development of mother-daughter bond for Wuornos as a young girl. The damage was then made worse because both Wuornos and her brother believed that the grandparents were their biological parents, but at the age of 11 they learned that this was not the case, which further damaged the relationship between Wuornos and her adopted parents. Wuornos was also known to have early behavioral problems such as having an explosive temper, which limited her ability to make friends, as well as making it increasingly difficult for her to maintain relationships. Her traumatic upbringing, including physical and sexual abuse, have been partially linked to the development of borderline personality disorder. Such severe trauma can also disrupt the structuralization of the mind at various developmental points and result in primitive, dissociative, and splitting defensive disorder of intimacy, emotional and sexual stimulation that cannot be integrated as a child. FBI Robert K. Ressler briefly mentions Wuornos in his autobiographical history of his 20 years with the FBI. Writing in 1992, he said he often does not discuss female serial killers because they tend to kill in speeds instead of in sequential fashion. He noted Wuornos was as the sole exception. Ressler, who allegedly coined the phrase of serial killer to describe murderers seeking personal gratification, does not apply to women killing in postpartum social justice or to any murder acting solely for financial gain, such as women who had killed a series of boarders or spouses. Wow, that's crazy how even a woman serial killer like her, she might have a reason to kill all these men, which I don't think the man she kidnapped, which I don't, it doesn't explain how she died, whatever. But I knew it was about watching language on TV and YouTube. Also heard she called those men up there to hide in the woods and used a gun to kill them and drive the car and destroy them all. She didn't actually hear the R word, but just raped. They didn't rape her. She just used them for money and just shoot them and just took off. That's what I heard from watching the documentary on TV and I took the notes, kind of my notes for this video. They didn't say how they would kill us like that. Yeah. Which is sad to me because she went through a whole lot. Like, she went through a lot with her grandmother, her mother abandoned her. Her grandparents were alcoholics. She got raped by her grandfather. Her grandfather's friend got her pregnant at the age of 16, 15, 16, or 14, whatever age. After she gave birth to the child, she dropped out of school. She was in and out of homes, in and out of relationships. And all those led to the point where she was severely damaged. Like, she got borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, and she's went through traumatic experiences, and it just affected her adult life. And she never got a chance to heal or got mentally help with treatments and stuff like that. She just went through that. And I feel like when people go through that type of stuff, I feel like it affects them to where they're gonna be like pointing to serial killers, or just killing people, or doing some foul, evil stuff, like robbing people and out of jail. And a lot of people are freaking mentally crazy because they went through something like that made them do it. It's not like they had to do it, they forced to do it, but it made them do it because they went through something that's very much traumatic for them experience with them. And I just think that if I was her, if I was some of them serial killers, if I was one of them, when I went through so much, when I got raped, sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, or whatever, because I know it's going to mentally drain you, it's going to mentally destroy you, but I'm not going to allow that to let me do evil stuff in life. There's so much I want to do in life, so much I want to learn, so much that I haven't accomplished yet, and I'm not like that time like trying to kill people, or like the family trying to be in our relationships, in our marriages, and all that other stuff. It's just not worth it. I know people are mentally unstable, mentally ill. I don't think that's treatments out there, but they still are mentally destroyed. I know that it sounds kind of sad to hear about these victims. I feel like I feel so sad for her. I feel sorry for her. I feel like if she would have got healthy treatment, then this wouldn't have happened. And she would not have been the first serial killer. I feel like people who always write books about her, they always focus on the negative side for her. But now I'm trying to focus on the positive side about her. I feel like if she would have got help, then she would have been just perfectly fine. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying everybody's perfect. I'm not saying everybody's doing this, doing that, looking. Not everybody is perfect in their own ways. Yeah, that's all I got for today's video. Hopefully it's a long, hopefully it's short, not too short, long, not too long. You know, comment down below. Make sure to comment, subscribe. And let me guys know which cases you got in the comments channel. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next two kind video. Bye guys.